Hope is the breath of life that carries us through storms, the invisible power that whispers to us when the world screams against us, the fire that burns within the hearts of those who dare to rise when everything around them falls apart. And it is this hope that has created conquerors, dreamers, and legends who refuse to bow to defeat. For history does not remember those who quit. It remembers those who held on when every reason told them to let go. It remembers the people who looked at impossible odds and still whispered to themselves, I will not stop. I will not surrender. I will not lose hope. Because hope is being able to see light in the middle of darkness. Hope is the courage to step forward when your legs are trembling. Hope is the faith to believe in tomorrow, even when today looks like the end. And if you look closely at every hero who changed the world, you will find hope sitting quietly in their chest, guiding them through pain, through rejection, through failure, through betrayal, through nights that seemed endless. And yet they rose stronger, fiercer, brighter than ever before, because hope is not just a feeling, it is a weapon, a shield, and a force more powerful than fear, doubt, or despair. It is hope that carried Nelson Mandela through 27 years behind prison walls, 27 years of silence, 27 years of chains. Yet when he emerged, he did not emerge with hatred, but with vision. He did not emerge broken, but unbreakable, because his hope had been his freedom long before his body ever walked free. And it is hope that fueled Thomas Edison through failure after failure, when others laughed at him, when others mocked his endless attempts, when the world called him foolish for chasing light. Yet he smiled and said, I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. For only a man of hope can see light before it exists. Only a man of hope can create a future that others cannot yet imagine. And it is hope that gave Abraham Lincoln the strength to rise after countless defeats, to face election losses, personal heartbreak, national division. Yet his hope would not allow him to stop until he had held a nation together, until he had proven that persistence conquers despair. And it is hope that inspired Helen Keller to speak though she could not hear, to see though she was blind, to dream though the world told her it was impossible. Because hope laughs at impossibility, hope rejects limits. Hope whispers, rise, when everything else tells you fall. And so long as hope burns inside you, even faintly, you are never finished, you are never powerless, you are never truly lost. Because as long as hope exists within your heart, there is always a path forward. And yet so many people surrender not because they are weak, not because they are unworthy, but because they let their hopes slip away. They allow the darkness to convince them that the dawn will never come. They allow failure to speak louder than faith. They allow rejection to weigh heavier than persistence, and that is the tragedy of life. For it is never the weight of the journey that destroys a person, it is the loss of hope along the way. But those who cling to hope even with trembling hands, even with shattered dreams, even with broken hearts, those who say to themselves, I may be knocked down, but I am not out. I may be wounded, but I am not finished. I may be tired, but I am not done. Those are the ones who rise again and again until the world can no longer deny them. Because the truth is simple, the world belongs not to those who never fell, but to those who kept rising. The crown belongs not to the unscarred, but to the undefeated. And every scar, every tear, every failure becomes a medal of honor to those who refuse to lose hope. Because as long as you have breath in your lungs, you still have a chance. As long as you have one spark of hope, you still have power. And as long as you keep walking forward, no darkness can ever truly consume you. For hope is not just survival, hope is victory waiting to be claimed. Think of J.K. Rowling, who sat in cafes with rejection letters piling up, who was told again and again that her dream was worthless, who lived in struggle and uncertainty, yet she clung to hope, and because she refused to surrender, her words gave birth to a story that touched the entire world. Proving once again that rejection is never the end unless you choose to let it be. And think of every fighter, every dreamer, every underdog who stared at impossible odds and still chose to stand. They all carried the same flame of hope, for hope is not reserved for the gifted, the wealthy, or the powerful. Hope is the inheritance of every human soul. It belongs to you, to me, to anyone who dares to keep going. And this is why history bows to those who never lost it, because they remind the rest of us what is possible. They show us that the only true defeat is surrender. They teach us that you can strip a man of everything, his money, his home, his comfort, his support. But you cannot strip him of hope unless he gives it up himself. And those who never give it up conquer not just the obstacles before them, but the doubts within them. They conquer fear, they conquer despair, they conquer the very voices that told them they could not. And once those voices are silenced, the world itself becomes conquerable, because the fiercest battles are always fought within before they are ever won outside. And if you look at the pattern of every great conqueror of despair, you will notice one truth echoing again and again, that hope is stronger than circumstance, stronger than failure, stronger than the weight of the world pressing down upon a single soul, because it is not the size of the storm that determines the outcome, but the size of the hope inside the one who faces it. And this is why some people are crushed by the smallest rejection, while others rise from the ashes of disaster. It is why some give up after one setback, while others endure years of trials. Because those who carry hope walk with an inner vision that others cannot see. They see the dawn while still trapped in night. They see victory while standing in the battlefield of defeat. They see possibility while surrounded by impossibility. And that vision is what keeps their steps moving when everyone else stands still. That vision is what builds strength in their bones and fire in their spirit. And it is that vision that turns ordinary men and women into legends who inspire generations. For the truth is that hope is the seed of every triumph. And without it, nothing great is ever born. But with it, even the most broken person can rise to heights that shake the world. And this is why you must guard your hope as the greatest treasure you own. For the world will try to steal it from you, people will mock you, circumstances will break you, failures will whisper in your ear that you are not enough, that you should give up, that it is pointless to keep fighting. But you must answer back with the voice of hope, the voice that says, I am not finished, I am not broken, I am not done. Because the minute you surrender hope, you surrender the future that could have been yours, the dreams that were waiting for you, the victories that were within your grasp. But when you hold on to it, even in the smallest spark, you unlock strength you didn't know you had. You unlock courage that no fear can destroy. You unlock resilience that grows every time you rise again. And that is how history is changed, not by the comfortable, not by the ones who quit when it got hard, but by the ones who stood in the fire and refused to be consumed, who carried hope in their chest like a weapon, who said, if I have to walk through hell, I will, because I know there is light on the other side. And because they believed that, because they refused to surrender, they did not just survive the darkness, they conquered it. And in conquering it, they conquered the world. And when you understand this truth, that the world itself bends to those who refuse to surrender hope, you begin to see why every story of greatness is also a story of struggle. For struggle is the furnace where hope is tested, where it is either extinguished or strengthened. And for those who hold on, that furnace becomes the birthplace of unstoppable will. Because every time you walk through fire and still keep believing, your hope becomes unshakable. It becomes the kind of hope that no criticism can kill, no failure can bury, no rejection can silence. And this is the kind of hope that moves mountains, the kind of hope that changes nations, the kind of hope that writes books, builds empires, creates revolutions, and inspires millions. And though the world may look at these people and call them extraordinary, the truth is they are ordinary men and women who simply refuse to let hope die. They are proof that you do not need to be born powerful to become powerful. You do not need to be handed opportunities to create opportunities. You do not need a perfect path to carve a path of your own. All you need is hope strong enough to outlast the storms, hope fierce enough to silence the doubts, hope enduring enough to carry you from the valley of failure to the summit of victory. And when you possess that kind of hope, there is truly nothing in this world that can hold you back. And maybe right now you are in the middle of your own storm. Maybe right now you feel like the weight of the world is pressing down on your shoulders. Maybe you have faced rejection after rejection, failure after failure, heartbreak after heartbreak. And the voice inside you says it is easier to give up, easier to surrender, easier to stop trying. But listen closely, because the same truth that carried the greats can carry you, the same hope that lifted Mandela, Edison, Helen Keller, Rowling, and countless others is available to you. And if they could keep walking when everything told them to quit, so can you. If they could rise from brokenness to greatness, so can you. Because your past does not decide your future, your scars do not define your destiny, your failures do not dictate your final chapter, only your hope can do that. And as long as you do not let go of it, as long as you cling to it, no matter how small or fragile it feels, you still hold the power to rise, you still hold the power to fight, you still hold the power to become something greater than what your pain is trying to convince you to settle for. And that is why you must never, ever let go of hope. For the world is waiting not for someone who had it easy, but for someone who had every reason to quit and still chose to keep going. Because every single time you decide to rise, instead of staying down, you prove to the universe that hope is alive within you. And that proof is what transforms weakness into strength, doubt into confidence, wounds into wisdom, and setbacks into stepping stones. And maybe the world will not notice your fight right away. Maybe people will doubt you. Maybe they will laugh at your dreams or dismiss your vision, but what they think does not matter, because hope is not about convincing them. It is about convincing yourself. It is about knowing deep within your soul that your story is not over, that your best days are not behind you but ahead of you, that every trial you face is shaping you into the person who can handle the triumph you are destined for. And if you keep holding on, if you keep believing, if you keep pushing even when it hurts, there will come a day when those same people who doubted you will look at your success and call you unstoppable. They will see the victories, but never truly understand the hope that carried you. For only you will know the nights of struggle, the tears of frustration, the moments you almost gave in, and only you will understand how hope kept your heart beating when everything else told you to quit. And that will become your greatest power, the story of how you conquered the darkness, not because you never felt weak, but because you never let go of hope. And the beauty of hope is that it multiplies, because once you refuse to let go of it, once you walk through your storms and emerge on the other side, your story becomes the light for someone else still trapped in darkness. Your persistence becomes the reason someone else does not quit. Your scars become proof that healing is possible. Your triumph becomes evidence that dreams are not foolish. And this is how hope spreads. From one fighter to another, from one survivor to another, from one dreamer to another, until what once felt like a lonely journey becomes a movement of resilience. And when you realize that your hope is not just for you, but for those who will come after you, your reason to hold on becomes even greater, because you are not simply fighting for yourself. You are fighting for every person who will look at your story one day and whisper, if they could do it, then so can I. And that is why giving up can never be an option, because quitting is not just the end of your journey, it is the loss of every person who might have been inspired by your victory. And you must understand that hope is not just about personal success, it is about legacy, it is about impact, it is about planting seeds of belief in the hearts of strangers you may never meet. And that is the real conquest. Not just conquering the world outside, but conquering despair in such a way that your light continues to burn in others long after you are gone. And if you truly think about it, every revolution that reshaped humanity, every invention that redefined possibility, every movement that shifted history, it all began with a single person holding on to hope when no one else could see what they saw, because hope is vision in its purest form. It is the art of believing in a future that has not yet arrived, and without it no great dream could survive, without it no leader could lead, without it no change could ever be born. For hope is the soil in which every seed of progress grows, and those who carry it within them are the gardeners of destiny. They are the ones who plant when others doubt. They are the ones who water when others mock. They are the ones who wait patiently for the harvest while others walk away. And when the harvest finally comes, the world calls them lucky. The world calls them geniuses. The world calls them chosen. But the truth is they were simply hopeful enough to keep going when the rest gave up. And that is the difference between those who dream and those who achieve, those who talk and those who transform, those who wish and those who win. For the bridge between despair and victory is built from nothing but hope. And once you step onto that bridge, once you trust it enough to keep walking, there is no limit to where it can take you. And maybe the path ahead of you right now looks impossible. Maybe the challenges in front of you feel bigger than anything you have ever faced. Maybe the voices around you keep telling you that you are not ready, not smart enough, not strong enough, not worthy enough. But understand this truth, that greatness has never belonged to the ones who had it easy. Greatness belongs to those who walked through difficulty and chose not to surrender. Greatness belongs to those who looked at the mountain and kept climbing anyway, who looked at the storm and kept sailing anyway, who looked at the battlefield and kept fighting anyway. Because what separates the conquerors from the conquered is not talent, not luck, not even resources. It is the presence of hope that refuses to be silenced. And when you choose to believe in that hope, when you decide that your story is not over until you win, you unlock a power within you that no obstacle can contain, no enemy can crush, no failure can bury. Because hope is the root of resilience, hope is the foundation of courage, hope is the reason why people rise from the lowest valleys to the highest peaks. And when you hold on to it with everything you have, you will find yourself doing things you once thought were impossible, breaking barriers you once thought were unbreakable, conquering fears you once thought were unconquerable. And all because you dared to believe when everyone else stopped believing. And the truth is, the journey of hope is never meant to be comfortable. It is meant to test you, to stretch you, to demand from you more than you think you have. Because only when you are pressed beyond your limits do you discover that your limits were never real. Only when life knocks you down do you discover the strength to rise. Only when you walk through darkness do you learn how to shine. And that is why the ones who conquer the world are not those who avoided pain, but those who embraced it, those who used it, those who transformed it into power. Because pain without hope is destruction, but pain with hope is transformation. And this is why some people collapse under the weight of their struggles, while others use those same struggles to grow wings, to fly higher, to fight harder, to dream bigger. For hope gives meaning to suffering. It turns wounds into wisdom. It turns setbacks into setups. It turns delays into preparation. And if you can understand this, if you can look at every hardship not as punishment, but as preparation, then you will never again see yourself as a victim of your circumstances. You will see yourself as a warrior being trained, a conqueror being forged, a leader being built. And when that mindset takes root in your soul, nothing can stop you, because nothing is stronger than a person who refuses to lose hope in the middle of pain. And this is why you must look at your own life not through the lens of defeat, but through the lens of destiny, because every trial you have endured, every hardship you have survived, every disappointment you have carried has not come to destroy you, but to prepare you, to shape you into someone who can carry greater victories. And when you realize this, when you see your scars not as signs of weakness, but as symbols of survival, your hope will ignite in ways you never imagined, because hope is not blind. It does not deny reality. It simply refuses to be ruled by it. Hope sees the obstacle and says there is still a way. Hope sees the failure and says the story is not finished. Hope sees the darkness and says the light is still coming. And the people who live with this kind of hope become unstoppable forces in the world. They are the ones who keep going when logic says stop. They are the ones who create when resources are gone. They are the ones who believe when belief seems foolish, and because of this they rise above the ordinary, they rise above the average, they rise into the realm of the extraordinary, and the world looks at them in awe. But what the world does not always see is that their secret was not perfection or privilege. It was hope. The hope that burned so fiercely within them that no storm could extinguish it, no enemy could steal it, no failure could erase it. And that hope is the same hope that lives inside you, waiting for you to unleash it fully. And when you finally unleash that hope within you, when you decide that no matter how many times you fall, you will rise, no matter how many times you fail, you will try again, no matter how heavy the burden, you will keep moving forward. You step into the rare group of people who change the course of their own lives and inspire countless others to do the same, because the world is full of those who quit too early, full of those who gave up at the edge of their breakthrough, full of those who let go of hope just one moment before the tide was about to turn. But you are not one of them. You are not made to surrender. You are not made to bow down to defeat. You are not made to abandon the fire that lives in you, because inside you there is a warrior. Inside you there is a dreamer. Inside you there is a conqueror who understands that every obstacle is only temporary, that every failure is only a lesson, that every rejection is only redirection. And when you live with this mindset, when you let this hope fuel your every step, the world itself begins to shift, doors open, opportunities appear, strength multiplies, and you realize that you were never fighting alone. You are always being carried by something greater than yourself, the unbreakable spirit of hope that has built empires, freed nations, healed hearts, and turned ordinary souls into legends. And even when the path feels unbearably long, even when the nights drag on without end, even when every step forward feels heavier than the last, hope is the whisper that tells you to take just one more step. And that step leads to another, and that one more becomes 1,000. And before you know it, you have crossed valleys you once thought would drown you. You have climbed mountains you once thought would defeat you. You have endured storms you once thought would destroy you. And you stand taller not because the journey was easy, but because you refused to let go of the one thing that kept you alive through it all. And that is the truth the world needs to hear, that hope is not fragile, hope is not weak. Hope is the most powerful force in existence, because armies can fall, empires can crumble, wealth can vanish, power can fade. But hope remains, and as long as it remains in you, there is no chain that can hold you, no prison that can confine you, no darkness that can consume you. For hope is the eternal flame of human resilience, and once you carry it, you are already victorious even before the battle is won. And when you decide to live as someone who never lets go of hope, You carry within you an invisible strength that others cannot see but always feel, because there is something magnetic about a soul that refuses to quit, something unshakable about a heart that keeps beating with faith even in the storm, something unbreakable about eyes that continue to search for the light when all around is darkness, and that energy becomes a beacon. It becomes a lighthouse that draws others toward it, reminding them that if you can keep going, if you can keep believing, then maybe they can too. And that is how revolutions are born, not just revolutions of nations, but revolutions of minds, revolutions of destinies, revolutions of generations who rise from despair into victory, because one person's hope can ignite thousands. And thousands can inspire millions, and millions can transform the world. And when you understand that, you begin to see that your fight is not just your own, your perseverance is not just about you, your refusal to give up is not just about your dreams. It is about everyone who will watch you, everyone who will learn from you, everyone who will take courage because you had the courage to endure. And in that way, your story becomes more than survival, it becomes legacy, because legacy is not carved in stone or written in history books alone. Legacy is lived out in the people who decide to rise after seeing you rise, in the people who decide to believe after seeing you believe, in the people who decide to fight after seeing you fight. And this is why hope is sacred, because it creates ripples far beyond what we can ever measure. It reaches places we may never see. It inspires souls we may never meet. It carries forward into futures we will never step into, and yet it continues to bear fruit because we chose not to surrender. And so when you wake up in the morning and everything feels heavy, when doubt sits on your shoulders and fear clouds your mind, remind yourself that you are carrying more than your own dream. You are carrying a torch that lights the path for countless others. And every time you keep going, every time you rise again, every time you refuse to bow down, you make the way brighter for them too. And though they may never know your name, though they may never see your face, they will feel your light in their journey. And that is what greatness truly is. Not fame, not applause, not reaches, but the silent strength of knowing you lifted others higher by lifting yourself. The quiet victory of knowing your refusal to quit gave someone else the strength to take one more step. And that is why you must keep going. Because the world is watching, and more importantly, the world is waiting for you to show them that impossible is only an illusion, that failure is only a detour, that darkness is only temporary, that hope is eternal. And when you walk with that conviction, when you speak with that fire, when you live with that unstoppable faith, there is no mountain too high, no sea too wide, no valley too deep, because the very universe conspires with those who refuse to give up. And though the tests will grow harder, though the battles will grow fiercer, though the nights may stretch longer, your light will only grow brighter. Your strength will only grow deeper, your resolve will only grow stronger, until one day you look back and realize that everything you once feared has now bowed before your courage. Everything you once thought was meant to destroy you has actually shaped you. Everything you once thought was a curse has turned into the blessing that made you unshakable. And in that moment you will know the truth that every warrior of hope has always known that the struggle was worth it, that the pain was not wasted, that the tears watered the soil of your greatness, that the nights forged the fire of your soul, and that hope carried you not just to survive, but to conquer. And when you stand on that mountain, when you breathe in the victory of a life lived without surrender, you will understand that you are proof of the most powerful truth of all, that hope is not just something we cling to in desperation, it is the very essence of transformation, the very heartbeat of miracles, the very breath of destiny itself. And that is why the world needs your hope, your story, your fight. Because somewhere out there is a heart that is breaking. Somewhere out there is a dream that is fading. Somewhere out there is a soul that is about to give up. And your light may be the spark that saves them. Your words may be the fire that reignites them. Your journey may be the map that guides them. So carry your hope boldly, fiercely, unapologetically, and let the world see that no matter the darkness, no matter the weight, no matter the odds, the human spirit that chooses hope can never be defeated. It can only rise. It can only grow, it can only conquer, because hope is not passive. It is the warrior's weapon. It is the builder's foundation. It is the dreamer's wings, and once you embrace it fully, nothing is impossible. Everything is within reach, and the world itself must eventually bow to the power of a soul that never let go of hope. And when you begin to walk with this kind of fire, this unshakable determination born of hope, the very atmosphere around you shifts, because people can feel it in your presence. They can sense it in your words. They can see it in your eyes. The unspoken message that says no matter how hard life pushes, You will not fall without rising again, no matter how fierce the winds of doubt. You will not be blown off course, no matter how heavy the weight of failure. You will not be crushed, because you have learned that true strength is not avoiding pain, but enduring it, not escaping the storm, but standing tall in the middle of it, not wishing for easier circumstances, but building stronger resolve. And as you keep moving, as you keep rising, as you keep conquering through hope, people will doubt you, they will laugh at you, they will tell you it is impossible, and yet deep inside you will carry the voice of hope whispering, yes, it is possible, yes, it can be done, yes, you are capable. And that whisper is louder than the world's shouts, stronger than the world's resistance, greater than the world's obstacles, because hope has always been the silent but undefeatable companion of every visionary, every innovator, every dreamer who dared to change the course of history. And if you look back, you will see it in the explorers who sailed across oceans when the world said they would fall off the edge, in the scientists who pursued discoveries when the world mocked their curiosity, in the leaders who fought for freedom when the world said submission was inevitable, in the ordinary men and women who dared to rise above extraordinary challenges when the world believed they would collapse. And all of them carried this same flame you carry. This same unrelenting belief that beyond the darkness there is light, beyond the suffering there is victory, beyond the struggle there is breakthrough. And that is why you must hold on, because the moment you give up is the moment the story stops. But the moment you keep going is the moment you write history. And yes, history is written not only in books, but in the lives you touch, in the battles you win, in the victories you carve out of impossible circumstances. And your life becomes a living testimony to the power of never letting go. And though the world may only see the victories, you will know the truth that every victory was born of 1,000 silent battles fought in the dark, that every triumph was carved from nights of doubt and days of struggle, that every success was built upon countless failures that did not break you but built you. And that is why your story matters, because people need to know that greatness is not about being born with special gifts. It is not about living a life free of struggle. It is not about walking an easy road. It is about the courage to keep walking the hard road when everything in you screams to stop. It is about the choice to keep climbing the mountain when your body says you cannot take another step. It is about the refusal to quit when every door slams shut. And it is about believing that hope will open a window when the doors are locked. Hope will carve a path when the road is blocked. Hope will create a sunrise even when the night refuses to end. And when you embody that truth, when you live that truth, when you breathe that truth, you become unstoppable, because nothing can truly defeat a person who refuses to stop believing. Nothing can break a soul that continues to rise. Nothing can silence a voice that continues to speak faith into the storm. And the world will eventually see what you have always known, that hope is stronger than fear, stronger than failure, stronger than doubt, and stronger than any force that tries to break the human spirit. And so carry it proudly, fiercely, relentlessly, because you are not just surviving, you are conquering. You are not just existing, you are rising. You are not just hoping, you are proving with every step that hope is the very heartbeat of victory. And as long as it beats within you, the story is never over. The battle is never lost. The dream is never dead, because hope does not die. It multiplies, it grows, it expands, and it will carry you to places you once thought impossible, until one day you look around and realize that you have become the very example of the quote. Hope is being able to see that there is light despite all of the darkness, and your life itself is the light that proves it true. And now, as you listen to these words, as you feel the fire of hope stirring within you, I want you to remember this truth with every breath you take. You were not created to live small. You were not created to shrink before the weight of life. You were not created to surrender your dreams at the feet of fear. You were created to rise, to conquer, to shine, to stand as a living example of what hope can do when it refuses to be extinguished. Because history is not shaped by those who quit. It is shaped by those who rise again and again. History is not written by those who gave up. It is written by those who dared to keep believing when everything screamed at them to stop. And now it is your turn. Now it is your moment. Now it is your season to rise and show the world that no darkness is strong enough to drown your light. No failure is powerful enough to chain your future. No fear is heavy enough to bury your destiny. Because you are living proof that hope is eternal, hope is unbreakable, hope is unstoppable. And if you dare to carry it boldly, fiercely, relentlessly, then there is nothing on this earth that can stand against you. And so I ask you, not tomorrow, not someday, but now, in this very moment, Make the decision that you will never let go. Make the decision that you will rise every time you fall. Make the decision that you will believe even when belief feels impossible. And let that decision ignite a fire in you that nothing can quench. A fire that drives you through every trial, that carries you through every storm, that lifts you through every night of despair until the day you look back and realize that you did not just survive, you conquered. You did not just endure, you thrived. You did not just hope, you transformed your hope into history. And in that moment, you will stand as undeniable proof to the world that those who never give up, those who never lose faith, those who never let go of hope, they are the ones who rise. They are the ones who inspire. They are the ones who conquer the world. And my friend, you are one of them. So stand tall, breathe deep, step forward with unshakable faith, and let the world see what happens when a human soul chooses to never let go of hope.